All right, we are live. Everybody, welcome. This is Dr. Emotional Health, and today I have the honor of speaking with my good friend, Dr. David Bennett. And today we're going to go over a lot about weight loss or stubborn weight loss and a lot about those weight loss myths that are out there. Dave, welcome. Hope you're having a wonderful day. How are you?
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thanks for having me. One of my favorite conversations and one of my favorite people to talk to.
Thank you. Thank you. So, before we start, this is our second time we're actually doing this thing. We're on
Mhm.
actually maybe two more times prior.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit about your background?
Well, I originally started out my careers as a trial attorney. I had some health problems myself. My father-in-law, who was a chiropractor, set me straight. I went back to chiropractic school and, you know, graduate chiropractic school, and we always did a lot of nutrition work. I then got a certification in functional medicine, a functional medicine practitioner, and then did functional healthcare, and then developed the metabolic body reset program for stubborn weight loss and metabolic syndrome, and then sort of evolved even further into teaching other practitioners how to do. Yep, you can look at me doing TikTok videos. So, it's I don't know if I ever told you the story about that, Michael, but Ryan, my son, was about 13, and it was a couple of days after Christmas, and he came to me and said, "Dad, do you have a TikTok account?" I was like, "Yep." And he's like, "My friends are seeing you." And I said, "Oh, okay, great." He's like, "Do you know you have like 1.4 million views?" And I was like, "Okay, great." He's like, "No, you don't understand."
Which is fantastic. Was that the one we were holding up, like the fat,
Fine.
the fat model?
Exactly. Yeah. And also, I think it was like 5 million views ultimately between a couple of videos I did on those. But yeah, so that was just sort of a spin off of doing for the weight loss, for the metabolic syndrome stuff.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
And now you help other practitioners with TikTok as well, and
Yep.
again, I appreciate that. It's very helpful. So
Okay.
let's talk about the metabolic program you have. What makes it different? Why is it? I mean, there's so many that's out there. There's so much great overwhelm of all different diets from Weight Watchers to Nutrisystem, and now the latest and greatest. Whatever we're dealing with, from keto to gluten free to grain free to paleo to primal to AI. I mean, it's just so much, and it's so overwhelming. So, with your program, how does it stand out?
So you just hit on the number one problem that people have is knowledge. You either have a lot of knowledge or very little knowledge. And most people out there right now have a ton of knowledge on what can be done because everything you named can be done for somebody. But without being able to filter through that and find out what works best for them, what works best for their lifestyle, they end up with low consistency and they bounce from program to program to program, and going back and forth. And the weight does the exact same thing, going up and down. So what we did with the metabolic body reset was take a bunch of different programs, merge them into a program, and different ideas, but a program that you can wrap your head around very easily because it uses real food and it uses foods you like, not what I'm telling you. Specifically, you need to have X tonight, you need to have chicken today and fish tomorrow. No, you get to choose what you want to have. That and seeing results come from that breeds that consistency that people need. Because if you go to the gym and you stop your eating, and then you see 1 pound at the end of 7 days, you're like, oh, this was just really worth it. Like, and so the consistency's out the window, and you're on to the next fad that comes along. So the key is, one, keeping it simple. That's one of the hallmarks of the metabolic body reset. And two is making it easy for you to use it in your everyday life versus, hey, I got to carry the shake with me. No shakes, no prepackaged foods. It's, what you're making for yourself or what you can go out to dinner and order off a menu.
That's great. So, there's no shakes because a lot of people, are always drinking the shakes. And I know on our side of the fence, when we send people to start the program, we get them away from shakes. And
Yep.
we find that when we get them away from shakes, they actually do better.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
a lot of people report, bloating with shakes. They end up drinking it way too fast. Or sometimes they put too much fruit in it, or
Fruit.
sometimes too many vegetables in it. and they walk away and they say their gut doesn't feel the best. So, that's fantastic that, there's no shakes in there. So one of the questions that we always get though, when people start to, diets and these, how sustainable is this? Is this a stepping stone to the next phase?
So everything you learn during the 10 weeks, 12 weeks is conveying forward for the rest of your life. You know what to do. You know how to, okay, I went on vacation and I enjoyed myself and I had whatever I wanted to have and I came back let's say 5 pounds heavier. You now have the tools in your back pocket to pull out and say, okay, here we go. And bring yourself back to that point you were at, that you were comfortable with, that you wanted to be at. So it's the same. Sustainability is one of the other keys, because you could do a 12 week program with anybody and lose weight, and then you stop. I have clients say this all the time. I did this program and we had this pill and I ate all I wanted, but as soon as I stopped ordering the pills, the weight came back. Or as soon as I stopped eating their prepackaged meals, the weight came back. And the sustainability is so very important to me, because ideally, I want you to go through the program, learn the tools, have the tools in hand so that you can manage your life and your food intake and your weight the rest of the way through.
Excellent. So the program is 10 weeks long or 12 weeks long?
Excuse me, 12 weeks.
Yep. Okay. So it's 12 weeks long. So I assume
excuse me. I'm getting myself twisted around. It's 10 weeks. Yes. 6 weeks and then 4 weeks. Yes.
6 weeks. Okay. So after the 10 weeks, then what happens? So we learn this information, but we all have a tendency to slip back, right? So we go on vacation, we have a very stressful period of life, and we have a tendency to slip back and come off it. We start gaining a few pounds, and some take I already blew it, right? So why even continue, right? So how do you respond to that? What do you tell your clients?
So what I tell them is you know exactly what you need to do. You remember week 1? That's what you need to do. You need to do week 1 and 2. You may not need to do the full 6 weeks of the releasing phase of the program, but if it was 5 pounds you gained on vacation, you may need to do 1 or 2 weeks to get yourself back to where you were, because you have the tools. You know exactly what to do. And what I've done is we've rolled out, some people like this, a monthly membership plan where they stay. I'm sort of overlooking everything, because during the entire 10-week program, every day I'm seeing what you're doing, what has been done, so you're accountable. When I see something or I don't see something during one of those days, you hear from me with a chat message saying, "Hey, what's going on?" And what happened. But some people like that accountability. But even if you don't have that continued accountability on the monthly membership, you have the tools to be able to say, okay, I did this. Okay, here's what I need to do. I need to go on week 1 again and week 2. And okay, now I'm back down the 5 pounds from vacation, or whatever, from the party weekend, the birthday parties and Christmas or things like that. And that's all I really do is remind them, here you are. Just step back to where we started.
Excellent. So you're with them every step of the way.
Every step of the way.
And I think that's great, because I know in a lot of the other programs, I won't name them, it's like, okay, you sign up and then you step away and then maybe you come back the following week, and that's it. There's nobody there to go to during the week. So answer me this, when people say to you, listen, but I hate vegetables, right? So I get that, right? I hate vegetables. And they say it with such a vigor and passion, how much they hate it. But yet it has to be important in this diet, in this system, right? So how do you deal with that? How do you get around that?
But usually I'll talk to them about, let's say, hey, we'll run through a list of vegetables. Do you like this? No. Do you like this? No. Do you like the red peppers? No. Do you like green peppers? No. Do you like zucchini? Well, I do like zucchini when you make it into noodles. Okay, boom, there we go. Or, I do like eggplant, and I walk through. Now, I have had a couple when I've gone through the list who've said no all the way through, and that makes it very, very difficult because you need to have a well balanced, ideally, vegetables in your repertoire of what you're eating. Colors. What's the eat the rainbow every day. Um, that's very important because you're getting nutrients from all of that and different nutrients in different forms and fiber from some of the vegetables. So you want to try to do as many as possible. But then I'll run into I like broccoli with cheese sauce all over it. Well, we're going to curtail that for a little bit. I'm not saying you never can have it again. I'm saying we need to relearn our eating habits. I mean, everything that you talk about, everything I talk about, if we would go back and talk to our great grandparents,
oh yeah,
they'd be shaking their head, going, "Yeah, what are you trying to tell these people? Everybody knows this, right?
No kidding, right?
Right? Yeah, exactly. Like, what do you mean? People don't?
Right.
Yeah.
The one we get a lot is, listen, Dr. K, you don't understand. I need something at night. I just need that. I need that chocolate. I need that thing at night, right? So that's a very common thing, right? It's a very brain thing. So what do you tell your clients, like, when they say, listen, I have to have this?
You have to wrap your head around what you want out of this. If you want to lose weight, or if you want to have more energy, or if you want to be able, a lot of times I'll bring in talking about why they want to do it. If it's a grandma, a lot of times they want to say, like, hey, I want to go to the playground with my grandkids and not be tired, or I want to be able to participate. And, it comes to the fact of saying, well, then here's what you need to do for 6 weeks. After the 6 weeks, we'll reintroduce things. And when that happens and they've done the 6 weeks and they've gotten rid of the chocolate at night, or the ice cream bowl at night, which is another big favorite, or it's graham crackers and peanut butter is another go-to for a lot of people at night. When they're done with the 6 weeks and I say, well, what do you want to try? You want to try the ice cream? Well, maybe I will. And they'll try a little bit and then they'll be like, I felt like dirt after I ate that. And I'm like, yes, that's why you felt like dirt. You were eating it every night. It's so they learn that they actually don't need it. And they go through the process of realizing that while every once in a while it may be a treat, but you don't need it every night.
Right. But when they come back and they start telling me, like, they feel horrible, I'm like, well, that's a win. Right.
Yep, absolutely. Now we know what it is.
Right.
Yep,
Right.
now we know what it is. You've helped us identify.
Right. Aside from weight loss, right? I mean, I'm assuming the first week or two, it's hard and it starts coming off. What else do you see? Like, do they come back and say, hey, this feels better, that feels better, or head's clearer? Because everybody goes with weight loss, right?
Yeah, but all of that really is what, I love when I hear non-scale victories. Like, the number is relevant. When somebody goes in their closet and says, hey, I put on a dress from 5 years ago that I haven't had on. Like, I've been saving it because I didn't want to get rid of it. Or, one woman I remember recently, it was about week 8 or 9, and we were talking, and I said something, and she's like, you know what? I had IBS. I have IBS. I haven't had a problem since like day 3.
That's fantastic.
It's like, then she realized, because she forgot all about, like, you're running to the bathroom or plotting out when there was a bathroom around. Or, when I remember it was a 23-year-old boy. He dropped over 40 pounds during the program. And, his confidence went through the roof. He wouldn't send me the initial picture that I asked for. But after the fact, he sent me the picture comparing that he put side by side, and substantial difference. He now had the confidence to go out and be in public and take part in life, which is so important. Or the other ones I always love is I went to my primary, and my sugars are normal now, so we're going to take it off the medic, or my blood pressure is normal now, so that we're talking about removing the medications. Those are wins, and those are big time wins. But there are also non-scale victories that trickle out to family members. So one I remember is I had a mom, went through the program, did fantastic, and when we were talking at the end, she said, what was really nice about it was they were cooking meals and eating as a family. Two middle schooler, high schooler, busy activities involved in sports. But she said, my high schooler's acne cleared up because he was eating what we were making. That's a fantastic win.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it is. You mentioned the scale. So I tell my folks, if you got to get on a scale once a week, I'm looking for my clothes fit better. I'm looking for I got up the steps and the knees feel better. So what do you do with the scale when somebody's really just by that number, right? They're looking at that scale all the time, and it can go up and down. What do you say to them?
I try to get them away from looking at it. Yes, I want to hear the numbers come in every morning, because that's an easy way for me to then query somebody and say, what happened yesterday? Were you drinking enough water, or were you outside doing some activity level? Did you go to a party? Like, what happened? And if there's nothing there, you sometimes hit a plateau. And what it is just your body adjusting, because you've lost some weight. Now your body's adjusting to what you're doing. And then you begin to move back, because there's never that straight line down. I mean, if it was, everybody would be ecstatic, but it never. It's down a little, flat line, down a little, flat line, because your body is adjusting to what is happening.
Yeah, I definitely see that as well. So when you look at your program, who's your program not for? Who's this program? Who doesn't meet the criteria to go to this program and use this program? Have you ever said, this is not for you because of XY diagnosis or presentation, or?
Somebody who's actively involved in cancer treatment, because you want to make sure there's enough nourishment and the right type of nourishment. Somebody who has an eating disorder, or they have that in the past. You have to be very careful, because you don't want to have a relapse in anything. I don't say outright that that's a no-no, but we talk and we figure out what is exactly going on. Really, it's for just about everybody, because I'm not having you drink some exotic drink or take a pill. I'm having you eat real food and teaching you how to make the combinations that make a difference in your weight and how you feel.
Excellent. I know one of our patients where, she's following like a real food kind of program for her presentation of autoimmune, and her kid's like, Mom, when can we start eating real food again? Because, he thinks the real food is the stuff that comes out of the package and the box and the microwave.
I did have one person, I remember the conversation, and we couldn't mesh because they only ate from Burger King. Wow. And then they were unwilling to deviate from that.
Right.
So
get they were.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
You just sort of, you have to want to be helped as well. You have to have a why you want to do it in the back of your mind. My why, when I originally did it for myself, is client zero, were my kids, because I was exhausted. I couldn't go outside and play with them. Couldn't do anything. My daughter said, I was about probably week 4 or 5, sat on my lap and said, Daddy, I like the new you. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, you like to play now. You don't fall asleep when you come home from the office. So there you go. Pull that heart. And,
right.
That's my why. And I won't go back to where I was. I mean, and that's what you have to dig deep and find. Like, why do you want to do this? When you talk to a 75-year-old woman who wants to travel more, it's a pretty darn good why. Wants to travel with her kids, be with her grandkids.
Sure.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, that is a great why for sure. So when people start eating right, and one of the things that everybody hears is, well, you have to exercise, and I love exercise. I really
Mhm.
do. Work out 5 days a week. It's great. I do it. It helps with so many factors, psychologically, physiologically, biomechanically, so many great things. So, but would you agree that sometimes you can't exercise it away all the time, right? I mean, some people exercise actually too much. So where does exercise fit into this program? Because listen, I'm going to say I don't want to go to the gym 5 days a week. I don't want to do that crazy stuff that you do. Where does exercise play a role in this?
So, exercise is sort of a double-edged sword. It's absolutely necessary, but in certain situations, like the beginning of my program, I try to counsel away from it a little bit. I'm not saying don't go out and go for a walk or go for a bike ride, but what a person usually does is, okay, I'm going to lose weight now, so I'm going to drastically cut my calories, and I'm going to go do 6 days a week at the gym for 2 hours a day. And what that does is basically your body says enough. You're putting all these additional stressors on your body, and what does it do? It starts to store weight because it's self-preservation mode is what it boils down to. And so for the first 6 weeks, we try to stay away from intense exercise, anything more than walking, maybe some yoga, some light bike riding, not mountain biking. But then after the 6 weeks, absolutely, I want you going back to what you were maybe doing, or we try to give you guys some guidance on what to do, like how to get started on. Yeah, everybody's different. I'm not a fan of the gym. That's not me. I do it in the winter because where we live. But in the summer, I'm outside doing stuff, playing baseball, playing softball, bike riding, walking, hiking. So you're getting the exercise in just in a different form, and that's what you have to find is that sweet spot after the 6 weeks of what you like to do. Because if you don't like to do it, you're not going to do it.
Mhm. That's great.
Yep.
I think a lot of people are really afraid that, oh my God, I'm going to have to start exercising really hard and, get on the treadmill for an hour, the elliptical. And even when they say it to me, like, when it comes to exercise, I always look at energy, right? So more efficient energy burn is the rowing machine, right? I mean, somebody can jump rope. Nobody's jumping rope for an hour, right? I mean,
Right. That's right.
it's very, very efficient to do that. So before we tackle these
Well,
myths,
I mean, I'll throw this out. I just posted this today, um, or a couple of days ago. It was how many? Let me just look this up here. How many burpees would you need to do to get if you had a Big Mac?
oh my God.
Yeah, and it was. See if I can find it. Like 560 some odd burpees. A slice of pizza was 1,200 and some
Yeah, that's
burpees. So when you think of it that way, I mean, I hate burpees.
burpees are
I don't
tough.
know anybody who likes burpees,
No,
but so okay, I'm gonna have this Big Mac or 500 burpees. Like,
right.
wow,
I'll skip the Big Mac. Right.
absolutely, absolutely. And sometimes you need to put it into perspective like that for somebody, or how many miles you need to walk to
Right.
get that off. I mean, I remember doing this a couple of years ago. I took a 25-mile bike ride with my son for one of his Boy Scout badges, and we finished up, and I was like, oh, that was tough. Okay, so let's stop at Wawa and let's get something. And it was like I think was it a milkshake or something, but I didn't get one because I actually looked at it and it completely negated the
Yeah.
25-mile bike ride. Like I'm like, oh, it was an ice cream, like a little ice cream place that
Yeah.
we were going to stop. And I was like, there's no way I'm doing that. I'm not negating a 25-mile bike ride.
I don't know if you noticed, I have a few centuries under my belt. That's we're doing 100 miles in a day.
Oh, nice.
So when we would, it would be funny because you would know who put in the saddle time, meaning like you see what happens when they get off the bike and get back on the bike because you see them kind of shifting around trying to find a sweet spot. But you kind of knew who was doing it for a while because people were there. A lot of times there was the support, and sometimes they had hoagies out and all this stuff. And the cyclists who were doing it for a while, they knew not to go for that because
Right.
they couldn't break it down to energy fast enough, right? So you always see them eating healthier because they're all about like what they're going to take in energy wise to keep them going.
Yeah.
So a milkshake would have just slowed you way down.
I probably would have been asleep as soon as I got
Yeah,
home.
I mean
Like,
that
just,
would have been
yeah.
harsh.
I mean, and anybody can do that. With the internet, we have access to all that information. You put in a blizzard or whatever from
Yeah,
any place, and you'll see the calorie count, and then do your exercise. Like, okay, 20-mile bike ride, okay, 1,000 calories or whatever. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And sometimes the calories in, calories out doesn't always
no,
equate. So there's different ways of looking at that for
yep.
sure. So, but I see where people, they feel they need to exercise so hard, and sometimes I think that works against them.
It's definitely working against them because most people have tried that and failed.
Right.
And I don't like to dwell on calories, but it is a way to put things into perspectives.
Sure.
I would rather have somebody look at their plate and see what they're eating because I know you and I have talked about this, and 100-calorie Snickers bar
Right.
is not the same as 100 calories of broccoli. I mean, it's
Right.
not as glamorous, but
No.
I mean, you'll have a plate of broccoli, you'll have a Snickers bar, and there's a lot different nutrient count. There's a lot different fiber. Yeah.
Yeah, nutrient density, all of that.
Yep, absolutely.
Absorbable and all that kind of stuff. So all that definitely plays a role.
Yeah. All calories are not created equal is a
Right.
good way to put it. Yeah.
Agreed. So we're gonna cover some more of these myths, but before we continue, if you can just share with everybody how to get in touch with you.
My website, metabolicbodyreset.com. There's a button on there. You can schedule a free call where we can talk about your specific situation. The website spells out everything. There's even a little video that explains it a little further in detail. And just schedule a call and we can get you started whenever you're ready.
But metabolicreset.com.
Now, metabolic body reset.
Body reset.
All run together.
Yeah. Metabolic. Hold on, Eric. Metabolicbodyreset.com.
Yep.
Just put that there. Trying to get that there. All right. That's what I got. Can you see that?
Yep. Just drop the double I's out. That's all. And we're all good.
METABOLIC. Is there two I's there?
No, there are two I's that showed up.
Jeez. Look at that.
See what happens when you type with one hand?
Maybe I do need those glasses. I told the ophthalmologist, look, dude, you're wrong. We'll try. This is number 2, metabolic reset, body reset. Let's see. How about that one?
That's it.
All right, good. Excellent. We'll post that again. All right. So that's a great way to get in touch with you. All right. So let's go over this one here, right? So this one, we get a lot, and you can share what you think about that. I like to do this, but you know what? Healthy food is expensive. That's the big thing. I can't afford all organic. And people say, do you eat all organic? And I go, everything? Like, yeah. I'm like, I'm not a cardiothoracic surgeon. No, I don't eat all organic. Like, what are you talking about? I mean, that's nice in fantasy land, but we don't. What do you say to like, hey, listen, I can't afford eating healthy food?
What we've actually seen with clients is what I talk about. That when you are buying your fruits and vegetables and your proteins and you're making your own meals, you actually end up, and I've heard this from a lot of clients, and I've seen it in our household as well. You're not eating out as much. You're not buying as much of the prepackaged stuff, and you don't realize it, but the prepackaged stuff, you're paying for preparation. And you don't think about that, but you are. And you actually end up seeing the grocery bill tick down. Now, would I love to say 100% organic? Absolutely. If you want to do that, knock yourself out. But reality has to take a step into this as well. When we feed a family of 4, a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, like they eat triple of what my wife and I eat together. Like it's, so in reality, we pick and choose our battles. Try to buy the best quality. If we can get organic or grass fed or free range, fantastic. Vegetables, a lot of times we'll go with frozen organic vegetables versus fresh, because the frozen are flash frozen in the field. So they've only been picked for an hour or two before they're frozen. So most of the nutrients are preserved versus what you're getting now. Do we buy organic? Yes. Do we? I'll use and I'm sure you do, the environmental working groups list, 30 dozen. If it's the top of the dirty dozen list, like you really can't wash this stuff. Right. So we buy that organic. And then if it's at the bottom, we buy commercial. Yeah. Or buy local farmers.
Right.
Stuff in season. Kind of stuff, right? Yep. Yeah.
That's real good, for sure.
But, eating healthy is not more expensive. You're not going out. Well, you can go out to eat and eat healthy.
Right.
You just have to make the right choices. Now, if you do that every day, you're still going to spend money. But if you're eating at home and preparing your own meals and preparing your lunches, you can do it very well, very easily.
Right. Plus, there's an economical cost to eating processed foods on the side of medical, right? So if you're looking at it from an accounting perspective, the category of being sick will drain more of your money than being healthy, right? So you look at it from that perspective as well.
Yeah. Because, and I can't remember where I saw this, but when it might have been Peter Attila's podcast when he talked about health span versus lifespan.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you want to be when you're 80? You want to be, having a sippy cup with your grandkids, or do you want to be having a sippy cup from a nurse in a nursing home?
Right.
So lifespan does not equate to health span. So what you invest now is for the future.
Right.
It's not for right now, in all honesty. You will get now results, but you are investing for down the road.
Yep, for sure. The next thing that we hear is this one: all carbs are bad. Right?
I'll come right out. All those crap carbs in a bag. Yes.
Exactly.
But vegetables are carbs.
Right.
Like have steamed broccoli, or my wife and I will do broccoli with some onions, a little bit of garlic, in on a pan in the oven, and roast them with just a little bit of vegetable broth versus oils,
which is excellent.
The kids love it. That's fantastic. It's, you don't have to be a gourmet cook.
Right.
I'm simple with my food. If you give me a piece of steak, give me a plate of broccoli or another vegetable and a nice salad and fruit for dessert, I'm good.
Right.
Yeah.
That's excellent. I want to acknowledge somebody that came on, Dr. Jay Kamara. Dave, he is the individual that helped me get into chiropractic college.
Oh, very nice.
I saw. He took care of my dad. He took care of me. So, Dr. Jay, thank you for coming on. Long time.
Where is he located?
He is now out in Colorado, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was he was in Philly?
He was actually in Langhorne area.
Okay, very good.
And I used to see him between my physics class, the 3-hour physics class, and a 4-hour organic class. And after sitting on those
Please don't say organic again, please.
After sitting on those stools, I was just a total wreck, and he was kind enough to fix me up, let me sleep a little bit on the table, and then get me back. So, Dr. J, for listening, thank you very much.
Well, hi, Dr. J. Nice to meet you.
So, let's talk about starving, right? I'm starving. I'm hungry. So I'll hear that. I also hear intermittent fasting, right? We all got it. So intermittent fasting is the greatest thing ever. Everybody talks about it. What role in your program does intermittent fasting play?
A big part. A big part, because what we really want to do is get your body to relax. And if you're constantly putting food in with 3 meals a day and 5 snacks a day. And, we've been ingrained in this. Like I saw it with my kids as they were like, it was snack time, and then it was lunchtime, and then it was snack time, and then they went home and it was snack time again. And your digestive system never gets a rest, and your body never gets a chance to basically take a break. Your digestive tract take a break. And what's been shown by the research is once you hit, it's about 14 hours of fasting, you start to do what's called autophagy, self cleaning of cells that aren't functioning correctly. So in our program, we ideally shoot for what's called a 16-8 intermittent fast. 8 hours is your eating window, 16 hours is your fasting window. But people say, well, I always have to have breakfast. Well, then okay, have breakfast, and we'll do it the other way. I mean, I've worked with detectives who work night shift and nurses who work night shift, and we just adjust it because we really want, again, we focus on the weight, but we really want your body to heal itself and give it a chance. So you're giving it good nutrients, you're giving it time to digest your food, getting your body a chance to catch up, so to speak.
Okay. And if a patient's a diabetic, do you do anything different with them with respect to fasting?
We haven't. So, I mean, shouldn't say that. We've introduced it a little slower. And there's, when I'm talking to them and they say, something's going on, we'll adjust. Or I'll say, okay, it is a snack time. But in my world, a snack is maybe a cucumber round with some salsa on top versus a shot glass of orange juice.
Gotcha.
It's a little different approach. And, I'm constantly there in the program. So if some issues come up, which they don't often do, we're able to deal with them. It's the communication is the key of what's going on with you. And okay, so here's what we're going to do.
Excellent. And some people say, why can't I just take a pill? Isn't there a slimming pill I can take? I mean, it's just.
There always is. There's always a new one comes out. And
right.
Then 10 years later, there's always the lawsuits that come out. And,
I remember when like Benfen came out, and I was like, "Hey, this is the greatest thing." And like, oops,
Yep.
that became a problem.
What was the old saying? If it sounds too good to be true, it is.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if there was that magic pill out there, and it was, studied and shown to be, and long term, when you walk down the street, you wouldn't see anybody who's heavy.
Right. But even if there was a magic pill, right? So, just because someone's on metformin, which is a studied drug that's been around for a while, I mean, it's great stuff. And even in like some of the biohacking circles, they're using metformin like you would use a supplement and, really drive those insulin levels down. I get all that, but you still have to eat right? It doesn't, the metformin doesn't cancel out the 2 slices of pizza.
Right. But regrettably, that's what a lot of people think.
Right.
Oh, here it is. Oh, okay. I can just continue to do what I've been doing.
Right.
And, and then it's more metformin or it's another medication, and then, we're going to add this to your medication list. And even the medications and your lifestyle, your diet have to go hand in hand. And that's the problem. There is a disconnect there a lot of times.
Right. And you remember, like, the next thing that, remember when they came with all that fat-free stuff, right? I mean, the fat, I think it was Snackwells, right?
You're eating a white box. I remember them.
You're eating a rough Snackwells and you're just running to the bathroom. You're just cleaning that whole colon out. I mean,
I remember my mother bringing those home. They would be there, and I would look at them, and I'd be like, "Oh, cool! Now I can eat the whole box."
Right. So, in with your metabolic body reset program, where does fat play a role?
So in the beginning stages, it plays a small role, because what you've done is you've stored fat over the years, and I want your body to start burning that for fuel. But as we progress through it, fat comes back into play, the good fats, coconut oils, olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, and we try to lean towards that. And like I said, we roast vegetables, and even to this day, using broth. Mm-hmm. We use a lot of broth to cook with, just as the instead of olive oil, or instead of extra virgin olive oil. But a little bit of good healthy fats is always important.
Gotcha. Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, especially because I'll use MCT oil sometimes on the vegetables as well. Um, so that helps me out. Francis was kind enough to inform me that when I eat broccoli, most people eat a serving size of broccoli, which is 85 grams. I'm like, 85 grams? What is that? And I looked at it, I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm eating like, 4 portion sizes of broccoli because hey, it's good and I find it filling. But she's like, dude, you're eating like a family pack. So,
Yeah.
I think when you can add things to make it taste right, it tastes great, and I'll eat that as a snack, right? So I mean that's an okay go-to snack. It gives me that crunch. I can make it salty, I can make it spicy,
Yep.
And a lot of people will say that, they'll say, listen, you don't understand, I need a snack. I have to snack every 2 hours, right? So they will tell you I'm hypoglycemic. I'm like, well, did you get diagnosed with that? No, but I know I am. I have to eat every snack every 2 hours. Like protein? No. It's something else. So how do you deal with give me my snack? I need my snack.
So we're gonna try to get rid of that idea and talk through it a little bit. But also, if you really want a snack, then I'll give you some alternatives. But the more Cheryl, broccoli is not a snack.
Yeah. Cheryl, broccoli is a snack. I told you that before.
I'll put. The more you deviate, the more you play, the less predictable anything is. So, I mean, my personal go-to snack is cucumbers with salsa. I say that over and over. Yeah, you get a little flavor, you get a little crunch, you put a little salt on Himalayan salt on top of it, or some garlic powder. Like, it's fantastic because you mentioned earlier the shakes. People use shakes, and it's to make a shake taste good, a lot of times you got to put a lot of fruit in to give it that flavor that you're looking for. And all you're doing is drinking your sugars. That chewing process is essential to the digestive process. And to skip that entirely is not a good idea. And that's where the little snack of cucumbers and salsa comes in.
Right.
It's the chewing process.
Right. People say to me like, well, you're drinking a protein shake after your workout. I'm like, nobody wants my protein shake. It's unsweetened protein, unsweetened almond milk, MCT oil, creatine, a few berries. It's like, is nothing pleasant about it by any means. It's just right.
My protein snack bars, my kids will not even go close to.
Like I'll just skip it.
They're like, this isn't good. I'm like, oh yeah, it is.
Right.
And that's for me a double win, because usually everything that I would buy would be out the door before I could get to the first one.
Right. So it works out to your advantage. It's great.
Yep.
The next thing we'll talk about is, the use of water. People say, you got to drink 64 ounces. You drink before your meal so it fills your belly. That was a big Weight Watchers thing for a long time, and the more your belly is full, the less you want to eat. And I haven't found it to be necessarily true on my end. What have you found on your end with how much water do you want your client to drink?
I really like to see everybody between 80 and 100 ounces a day, but I'm not saying chug a glass of water before your meal. Throughout the day, hydrate yourself. Like when you first wake up in the morning, before you do anything, have a nice 8 to 16 ounce glass of water. That gets you started. You haven't had anything all night. You might have got up to urinate once, twice, but now, I mean, you are on the road to dehydration at that point. So the first thing you want to put in is some water. So you got 16 ounces in there. I'll then have these are my little games I play in my own mind to get where I need to be. I will then have a cup of coffee. Okay. Nice 8-10 ounce cup of coffee, but I can't have a second cup of coffee until I get another 32 ounces of water.
Okay.
Sometimes that's easier said than done, but I really, usually by 10:30, 11 o'clock, I really would like my second cup of coffee, and I've gotten the 32 more ounces of water. And so I'm right there. This is where my math isn't good, but for 48 ounces, I'm over halfway and I haven't even hit lunchtime yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So water is very important, but not in the form of let me have a glass right before dinner so I don't eat, because I want you to eat your meals. The meals that you have, I want you to eat and enjoy.
Now, what I'll get is listen. I don't like water. I don't like the taste of it. Um, and I'm like, okay, well, you can put cucumber in it, you can put lemon in it, you can put fruit
Yep.
in it. Some things that you can do with it. How do you feel about seltzers? Like a lot of my folks they like the carbonation.
This is filled with water and lemon juice.
Excellent.
Yep. Because it tastes good. It's a
Right.
different flavor to have. And I'll fill that up 2 or 3 times throughout the day. So I know I'm getting there. Seltzer water, carbonated waters, they're a nice change, but you really have to pay attention to the labels on water, because a lot of times you'll find artificial sweeteners buried in there to give it some flavor. But if you're having just a straight, and I'll use a brand, Perrier, I say only one a day. You're not drinking that entirely. You max is one a day, because what I've seen is, at least during the releasing phase of my program, is to go beyond that one a day, put you into a stall, a plateau. And I don't have any scientific reasoning behind that. It's just what I've seen. So that's what I tell people. You want to have one, it's an unflavored carbonated water, and just one.
Gotcha. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
And I also put that in as 16 ounces, because
Gotcha.
somebody will buy a massive bottle. And,
Right.
yeah.
Right. So you feel like you've seen, at least in your clients, that if they do more than one, it sets them off. They want more, or they go more for more snacks, or what happens?
No, it really doesn't do any of that. But what I'll see is, when I go back to ask them why, the last 3 days you've been at the same weight, and we start talking about, what are you drinking? What are you eating? Like, what has changed? And they'll be like, well, and we'll dig through it, and it'll be like, well, I started having 2 or 3 seltzers. Okay, let's take that away. And then I'll see the process start again.
Huh.
Going down. Yeah, and I've tried to do some research on it, and I have no reason other than what I've seen.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's very. I'll have to keep a better eye out on that. So, what do you think about the statement that weight loss is not always fat loss?
That's true. It's true. You have water loss. Ultimately, what you want to get your body doing is burning that fat, so that you are losing fat. You want to make sure you're not losing muscle as well. And it's sort of a fine balance, because during the 6 weeks of the program, we want you to lose the weight. So, getting rid of bloating, starting to burn the fat on a more efficient basis out of your body. But then I don't want to go beyond that, because I want to make sure we're balancing your needs, so that you're not losing muscle at that point. We want you to stay healthy.
Right. I know we'll see some people with NAFLD, the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and there's that visceral adiposity that just occurs really in front of in the belly. We got somebody with these thin legs and thin arms, but right there in the belly, that fat occurs, and we really want to kind of not so much target that area, but go for the overall body to improve fat loss, not just that initial 2-3 pounds, because we want that liver function optimally, for sure.
You can fluctuate 2-3 pounds every day, depending on water and what you're doing. Yeah.
Now, one of my favorite topics that I hear from a lot of my patients are, well, I need a good detox program. I'm going to go on a juice cleanse detox, right? So, do you get any of that?
I do. What I'll a lot of times say is, and ultimately, if a person wants to go that route, they can go that route. But I give them some suggestions. Get a continuous glucose monitor and put it on when you're doing your 2 weeks of your juice cleanse. Mm-hmm. See where your blood sugars are throughout that period. Because I've tried a lot of those detox programs, and I've probably thrown away thousands of dollars worth of products, because I've taken 2 or 3 of the detox shakes and been like, what is this stuff in here? But some people do. And I have a lot of clients, like I say, I don't want people to come. I want them to go through the program and have it sustainable. But I'll have people come back at the beginning of each year and go through the program again because they want to use it as so they're still at the weight they were when they finished the program, but they just want to get refocused. So I wouldn't call it a quote unquote detox, but for them, that's what they're thinking of it as is I'm going to do this 6-week detox and the 4-week follow up. And, they're not doing it for the weight loss at that point. They're just doing it to get refocused. And that's really, I think, what a detox ultimately should be, not just, okay, I'm going to do this drink mix for the next 3 weeks. I want to refocus on what I should be doing, not I'm doing this, and as soon as it's done, I'm going back to eating cheeseburgers and fries every day.
Sure. So do you find like with some of your groups that there is a specific demographic that is just slower to lose, male versus female, certain age? It's just a little bit tougher. Like they just reach that set point. Like, boy, that's hard to budge.
Age comes into play and gender comes into play. Like I mentioned, the 23-year-old boy. I mean, he lost weight fast, but he had a lot of weight to lose. So if your goal is 10 pounds from where you are right now, that's not a lot of weight. You're probably down to that very last 10 pounds that you want to lose. You've been successful. So that's not going to be boom, boom, 2 weeks and gone because your body is making adjustments. But I mean, I've had females in their 70s who've lost 20 pounds, in their 50s, in their 40s. I've had males. So it works, but everybody's a little different. They'll be like, why did my friend lose 5 pounds in 2 days? Because that's them. Right. And you lost 3. I'm sorry it wasn't 5, but next week you may be 5 and your friend may be 3.
Right. I can see that. And what about the people, the craze is gluten, right? So all I need to do is go gluten free. I mean, is the metabolic body reset gluten free? Because I can't have gluten.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes, it is gluten free. Yeah.
And again, you're talking about your patient who had IBS and how they were helped by that. So that's pretty fantastic.
So in her situation, ultimately, what she probably had heard, go gluten free, go gluten free, go gluten free. She did the program and didn't realize she was going gluten free.
Right. And that helped her. That's great.
Yep.
The other thing I get a lot, and you can speak to this, I need my alcohol, right? A glass of wine is good. You read it, there's resveratrol in it, so it's good for you. I'm going out to a concert and I want to enjoy my libation. I mean, I need my alcohol. So where does alcohol play a role in this reset?
It doesn't, is really what it boils down to. Wow. And sometimes I have to have that conversation with people of, look, I'm asking you for 6 weeks of doing this. Your goal is to be able to, travel or to go with your grandkids to the playground. For 6 weeks, I'm asking you not to have a glass of wine every night. After that, we'll talk about reintroducing it if that's one of your go-tos. I mean, I could not wait to put cream back in my coffee after 6 weeks. Right? I hated black coffee when I started it. I've never gone back to cream in my coffee.
Right.
I don't know. It's been 6 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. And every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, let me try it. And I'll get a little cup of coffee. I'll put a little cream in it. And I'll have a taste of it. And I'll be like, nope. Now I know. Now I remember why. I don't want to go there. But most people, it's more in your mind, is you have to wrap your mindset around what your goal is, where you want to go, but you also have to commit to the why you want to do it. So when you make that commitment, everybody can discontinue their wine for 6 weeks or their beer or whatever. But sometimes that's a conversation I have to have with people that, look, you can't do this, because if you want to reach this goal, then you're now playing with what we're doing. So everybody's results you're looking at and saying, wow, I want to be there. You may not. You're adding sugars in. You're adding all kinds of stuff into the mix. You're adding uh, more stress on your body to try to detox out what you're putting in.
So let's talk a little bit about reintroductions, right? So, I mean, when we have our patients following a specific gastrointestinal kind of protocol, or they're following an autoimmune protocol, I mean, I'm really strict on the reintroduction. I mean, you can't reintroduce with a chicken parmesan, right? I mean, it's just, chicken parm isn't going to cut it, right? So,
well, you can. You'll just pay the price.
I'm going to tell you, you are not going to be happy.
Yep.
So what is it? How do you work that in?
So I work it in on a slow process after the 6 weeks. We start reintroducing some more of the good fats, a little more in the quantity wise of the foods we're eating, because you're going to end up getting some fats. We'll reintroduce how you're preparing your meals in a different way, adding some of the things you haven't had back in, let's say butter back in or something, and I this comes up, and you've probably heard this quite a bit, Michael. I gotta have my oatmeal in the morning. And then it's so much fun to go through this process. So how do you eat your oatmeal? I put strawberries and blueberries and brown sugar and milk and maple this syrup and that. I'm like, okay. Have you ever tried plain oatmeal? Like, you don't like oatmeal. You like sugar.
Right. That's a great point.
So if they really want to go back to that oatmeal, okay, you're going to try steel cut oats plain. If it was my grandmother, I remember she put butter and salt in her oatmeal.
Sure, that's all we had. Yeah, we had Breakstone butter, right? And we put the butter in there, and
but I mean, you really like. I never was a fan of oatmeal since I was a little kid, but we had it every morning, because it was cheap, and easy. But I don't find many people. I don't know. I've never found anybody who says they just eat plain oatmeal because they're really looking for the sugar.
Right. Yeah. It's just a vehicle to get the sugar in the mouth. That's
Absolutely.
So I got two more questions left. Let's talk a little bit about willpower. Hey, listen, man, this is nothing but willpower. And some people say, I have no willpower. So when they come to you and they say, I really want to do this, but I have no willpower, how do you get around that?
Well, we go back to that why. Like, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to lose weight? Is it because your blood sugars are high? Is it because, somebody in your family had a heart attack? Whatever that why may be. And we start talking about that because you're building up your willpower. None of us have willpower if we don't, I want to be 50 pounds lighter next year. All right. Okay. Well, then you go out and have a cheeseburger and fries and some wings and a beer. Okay. Tomorrow I'm going to start. When you dig through and you put that why, and maybe you write that why out or type it out and put it on your refrigerator. Why you're doing this with a picture of your kids or your grandkids, or, you want to have a certain dress to walk your daughter down the aisle, or you want to those are big whys to lock in. That helps with the willpower. What also helps with willpower is seeing results, because all of a sudden you say, okay, I did this for 4 days or 5 days and I lost 3 or 4 pounds. Okay, that builds consistency. You're not waiting for it to be 1 pound a week. You're like, whoa, this works. That builds your willpower. And it's that process. And then, with me, when people have questions, I always tell them, like, look, you have to ask the question, because you ask the question in advance. I can tell you what we do. But if you wait till after the fact, you're already seeing the result of what you did. So let's try to be proactive versus reactive.
Excellent. Absolutely beautiful. I really appreciate you spending the time with me tonight. How can people see you and follow you on Instagram and TikTok? How can they do that?
TikTok is Metabolic Body Reset. Instagram's the same. I think metabolic. It's metabolic.body.reset on Instagram. But if you type the Metabolic Body Reset in, you'll find us.
Excellent.
You'll find us. Yeah.
Oh, we got a very nice. Thank you, Dr. Yeh, for time to bring us more awareness, knowledge, helpful
Very
information
nice.
on health. Beautiful. Yes, it will be available. Excellent. Thank you.
Yes. No, it was my pleasure. I mean, we both love talking.
Yeah.
We both love talking about this.
one of our favorite topics. And the last question before I go, I always ask everybody, what are you reading right now?
What am I reading right now?
Yeah.
I am not reading a book right now. In the summer, I do podcasts. I really hit them hard because I can sit on a back porch and just toss my phone on. So I bounce around different health-related podcasts. But right now, I am really enthralled with a podcast called Legends of the Old West.
Oh, nice.
Cowboys and Indians and all the frontier stuff. So
very, very nice. And you watched 1883?
I have not.
Ah, you should.
Was it good?
We should end, and then you should go start watching 1883.
To be honest with you, to watch something other than a sporting event, it's been a long time with the TV. Yeah.
If you like that whole Western genre, you would definitely like it.
Yeah. Right. I never did know. I never knew it. I just ran across it and got sucked in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good stuff. Well, everybody, thank you very much. We're going to do a repost of this as well. If anybody has any questions, please let me know. Once again, I'm Dr. Michael K., founder of the Center for Functional Health, and you can find me at the centerforfunctionalhealth.com. So take care, everybody. Stay healthy.
Thanks for having me, Michael. Have a good night.
You too. Hold on.
Take care, everyone.